Hello, and welcome to another installment of DeKalb Talks Tourism. We have a wonderful guest that we've kind of known each other now for maybe 6 months or so.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to introduce Jason Breyo, and he is a DeKalb County resident.
No,
No.
I actually live in
Okay, Gwinnett County
yeah.
resident. So, Jason, tell us about yourself.
Well, I've lived in it. It's going to implicate me as a Yankee. First of all, I grew up in Western New York. Then we're going to be talking about lacrosse today. So I grew up playing lacrosse in Western New York. It's very popular where I grew up. And then I ended up going to play at the University of Delaware. And when I graduated in 1992, I moved down here the week after. And because I have family here, I always first came to Atlanta probably 1982. Came a few times in high school and college. My uncle John lives here, and just followed him down here. He moved here in 1978, and every time I was here, I just loved it. So I just said, at the time I was graduating, I just packed my Dodge Shadow with my stereo, my lamp, and my clothes and my lacrosse equipment, and just drove down here and lived with him for a couple weeks, and that was 30 years ago.
So, you have an Uncle John and a brother in law,
Yeah,
John.
my brother-in-law John's the whole reason we're doing this. John Brasher, he set this whole thing up. He's great. I think I've been married to his sister-in-law 25 years, so we've probably known each other 27 or 28.
Well,
So,
I know he's a board member, and he called me. He's like, "Can you talk to him about lacrosse?" And I'm like, "Sure. What about?" So let's go ahead and start into that. So you are a lacrosse. You played lacrosse in college.
yeah, I started playing lacrosse at age 6. Where I grew up in Western New York, it's huge.
You know, when we actually talked about lacrosse, I had not seen a game yet, and I was actually up at Clemson and watched UMass play, and I thought, man, this is
In a club
exciting.
game at Clemson?
It no, they played on T. It was on TV. I was up there at lunch with my PhD group, and I watched UMass play, and then found out one of my cohorts in PhD actually used to play lacrosse. He was bigger then, but it was fascinating to me because it's kind of like hockey, football on grass. I mean, they whack each other, and it's very fast paced. And I was blown away. I went from not knowing lacrosse at all to fell in love with lacrosse.
Hmm.
So you played lacrosse, and your son plays lacrosse.
Yep, both my sons do actually. So where I grew up, it's what everybody does, and I played football, basketball, and lacrosse, and that's kind of common where I grew up. Lacrosse is mainly a northeastern sport. It started as a northeastern sport with the Iroquois Indians
Mm.
1,500 years ago, actually. So it's really popular where I grew up. But it's spread around the country. So what happened is guys like me play it, move around the country, and start leagues and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of folks like me in Atlanta, and actually Atlanta is a really big hot spot for the growth of lacrosse right now.
Is there professional lacrosse?
Yes, there's actually a team in Atlanta. There's actually two professional leagues. It gets a little confusing there. There's an outdoor league. So we're talking about field lacrosse, which is what we're talking about here today, 10 on 10 outside. There's also an indoor league called box lacrosse, an indoor version, and that's typically kind of started in Canada. But there's a pro team in Atlanta, the Georgia Swarm. The matter of
Oh,
fact,
okay,
in fact,
yeah.
this Saturday they have their home opener against the Colorado Mammoth at Gwinnett Arena, where I think they call it. I don't know what they call that right now. But anyways, it's pretty cool. So it's an indoor sport that's 5-on-5, but that's kind of the Canadian version. But it's just lacrosse is great because it's a very athletic sport. There's contact. There's a lot of action. I was just one of those kids when I played baseball as a young guy was out picking dandelions in the left field or whatever because I needed something a little faster paced. So lacrosse is a very athletic sport. You're up and down the field. The ball, you're wearing a helmet, shoulder pads, gloves, and arm pads, and then you got a stick, and you're running up and down the field passing the ball, and there's contact allowed, and not as much as they're used to. Like everything else, they've taken the fun out of that, just like football. But it's all in the guise of safety, so it's good. But it's just a fun sport, and the beautiful thing about lacrosse is whether you're 5'5" or 6'5", if you're a good athlete, there's a spot for you. So it's really taken off in Atlanta probably the last 20 years.
Oh,
First became a sanctioned sport in the state of Georgia in 2004, and kind of started in the northern suburbs in Roswell and that area. But I think there's over 130 high school teams in the state now playing it. As a matter of fact, last year, even I think 2 years ago, Effingham County High School down near Savannah actually started it, which is a really, not an area you'd think they'd have it, but it's growing like wildfire, both boys and girls. There's two sides to the sport, and it's very, very well advanced in Atlanta. As a matter of fact, for our event, we're going to be talking about Inside Lacrosse. It's kind of one of the big voices in the sport. It's a media organization for lacrosse, and I was talking to them about 2 months ago because we're going to partner with them. They estimate Atlanta is like the 5th largest lacrosse market in the country right now.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
5th largest in the country.
Yep. But
that's very neat.
People don't know a whole lot about it because it hasn't really made it to the college ranks down here yet too much. We have Mercer University in Georgia, which is the only Division I men's program in Georgia. It's kind of restricted a little bit with Title IX, with adding new men's sports. But the women's side of it is taken off in college. And as a matter of fact, in Georgia, we have Mercer and Kennesaw State that both have programs. So with the women's side of it, but it's worked out pretty well. So there's actually a lot of lacrosse here. So we're really excited about that.
So we're a big lacrosse town.
Yep.
You play lacrosse. Mm-hmm. Both your boys play lacrosse.
I still play. Yeah, both.
And you still play.
Yeah. So the way, I still play. We have an old man league in Atlanta. There's actually 2 club leagues. So we just started our winter league on Sunday. It's 35 and over, but it's all guys like me who grew up north, didn't like the weather, came down here for business and better weather, and just kind of stayed here.
Okay, that makes sense.
And a lot of the high school coaches in Atlanta are those same guys. So when all of us come down here, we play club, and have fun, and then we get married, have kids, and you want your kids to play lacrosse. So we all automatically get in and start these youth leagues organically. And so when I got my oldest son Harrison, who's now 24, serving in the United States Marine Corps, he's a lieutenant. Mm. He's in the 3rd Battalion of the 2nd Marines at Camp Lejeune. We're very proud of him.
Appreciate his service for us.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. And he, when he started playing he was 6 years old. We got him into it with a league in double sticks up in, North Fulton County. And he got into it. And then as you get going, you realize I need coaches. So all guys like me end up going in and coaching. So I was blessed to, at the time, lived in Forsyth County, where it was kind of a lot of people who played lacrosse kind of lived around. A lot of people moved in this area. And I ended up coaching a middle school team with a guy named Rich Wayman and Rick Lewis, who were great guys around here in lacrosse. And we ended up coaching at Lambert High School together. I started the youth program in 2009. And in 2012, we actually had 750 kids in our youth program that just fed 2 high schools, Lambert and South Forsyth.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. So it's turned into a really big thing of my life here. And, of course, got into coaching because you want your kids to play.
Right.
So my oldest son, Harrison, started at Lambert High School, and then we ended up finishing at Buford. My youngest son, Grant, did all of his high school at Buford. I actually coached at Lambert High School, the JV team, and was the defensive coordinator for a while. And then in 2015, got recruited over to Buford to coach there. And coached there for 3 years. So, and then my kids play, and my oldest son Harrison got recruited to play at Siena College in Albany, New York. A small Catholic school, great place for him though. They're a lower level Division I team, and then my son Grant was fortunate enough to get recruited to UMass to play there. He was also a really big football player, but he played football at Buford, was a linebacker, and he tore his ACL his junior year of lacrosse, which my wife still I was his coach, so my wife still kind of blames me for that because he just was coming off another injury and he didn't have to play that game. But that was kind of my fault. But anyway, so
that one down.
He ended up having a pretty bad ACL injury actually, but he ended up missing his senior year in football. Or he had offers to play. He would have had offers to play football as well. He played a lot. And did pretty well, but it all ended up great because it's our family sport. We just love it. So it's a lot of fun. So he's playing at UMass, and he's in his senior year.
So he is at UMass. I was glad to hear when you said your oldest son went military to the Marines because I was worried that he went to the Army. And that's really for the next part you're going to talk about.
Well, if he was recruited by Army, he would have gone there. That would have been great because the only full scholarships in the sport of lacrosse are Army, Navy, and Air Force.
But then you would have really had a real family issue with this game in February.
Correct.
So tell us about that. So your youngest son actually is a senior with the UMass lacrosse team. So he'll be a senior this year we're in now.
He's currently a senior. He's finishing up talked to him yesterday. He's finishing up the last 2 weeks of a very
So real quick, what's his degree going to be in, just for curiosity?
He is a building construction technology major.
So he can come down here.
Yep. He's got an interview set up over Christmas with some folks. He's
Oh,
already got one
good.
job
We'd
off.
like to get him down here to Atlanta.
Yeah, his mother would too.
Yes, I'm sure. So your son playing UMass senior got you to do the 285 lacrosse.
Yeah, well, so I've had various little ventures I've been in the lacrosse world in Atlanta for the past 20 years. Like there's a lot of I've had my own club team before called Higher Game Lacrosse and was always, with the Lambert program and with the Buford program and did a bunch of stuff. But so when my son started playing at UMass, there have been in the past other organizations who have put on. There's probably been about 5 or 6 Division I games in Atlanta. So the one problem, it's not really a problem, but in Atlanta with lacrosse, there's only one Division I school in Atlanta. So most of the schools are in the Northeast, quite honestly. So like when my kids want to play, most of the schools are in the Northeast. So in the South, you have, Mercer, obviously, you got Jacksonville University. You got High Point University in North Carolina, but then Duke and Virginia, who are in North Carolina, who are 3 of the best teams in the sport. But those are hard to get an opportunity to play for.
Yeah.
But so it's there's not near as many opportunities in the South to do that. So kids have to go up north. Now, in the women's side of the game, they've added tons of teams in the South, which is great. So Kennesaw, Mercer, and a lot of other schools, a lot of the Florida schools have too. But it's, so it's worked out pretty well. But one thing we always want to do is expose kids here in the youth leagues and middle school kids and high school kids to the highest level of lacrosse. So NCAA Division I lacrosse is not quite the highest level because there are 2 pro leagues, the PLL, Professional Lacrosse League, and also the NLO, which is the indoor version we just talked about, where we have a team here, the Georgia Swarm. But a lot of these kids just haven't seen the game played at a very high level. The last game we had here was in 2019. We had Yale and Michigan play, which was a tremendous game and was a great experience. But we're trying to take those experiences and play, have a game, make it a little bigger event than it has been in the past. And since it's really been 5 years because of COVID that we haven't had a game here, there's a whole generation of kids that have not seen an NCAA Division I lacrosse game. So that's why we're bringing it here.
So you're going to have this game right here in DeKalb County.
Yes, sir.
Silverbacks Park.
Yep.
In February. And so what date is it?
Saturday, February 10th. That's the season. Obviously, it's the spring season, so the college season starts in February. It wasn't that hard of a sell to get the teams to want to come down here because the game would have been played in West Point, New York, a home game for Army, which on February 10th is not the greatest weather. So there's a chance we have much better weather here, but we all know how it is in February here. It could be 60 degrees and sunny or 25 degrees and raining sideways. But we're hoping for the former.
Right.
And so we're real excited. But the UMass actually played in Atlanta in 2013 against North Carolina and had a tremendous experience. They used to play a lot of these games at Kennesaw State. We wanted a more centralized location, a little closer to the city. Also a complex that had a turf field, so because of the weather. So we kind of settled on Silverbacks Park. They've gone through in DeKalb County, and they've done a nice little renovation recently, and they're still doing stuff, and they're just great people to work with.
They are really great to work with.
One owner, one GM, and they're fantastic. We're making some improvements together. We're investing in it because we plan on having some more games there. But to kind of answer your question earlier, so my son, when they play 15 or 16 games this season. And for my older son at Siena and then my younger son now, for 6 years, I've been getting on a plane almost every weekend.
Wow.
And flying to Northeast and bringing a lot of coats because the weather's always worse than it is here.
Yep.
And, our family here hasn't really been able to see him play. My wife goes with me on most of them. By the way, I didn't tell you this earlier. One of the reasons I've been here for 30 years is because my wife is a hardcore Southerner. She's wonderful. She's great. But the day before she got married, she made me promise her to never move her up north.
Uh-huh.
So that's why we're here. But, so when they start games in February, it's usually just myself that goes because it's not really an environment she can be very successful in.
Right.
It's very cold. So one of the main reasons I wanted my son Grant to play a game in Atlanta so we didn't have to get on a plane and the rest of our family and friends can see it. So, the response has been fantastic. But this is, as I said, this will be the first Division I game in Atlanta in 5 years. And then We were able to connect with UMass. Obviously, my son plays on the team, so Greg Cannella, the UMass coach, was very interested because they had such a positive experience here 10 years ago when they played. And then we started talking about this like 3 years ago.
Wow.
And then we had to find a team that would want to go and do it. We originally it's kind of hard to create another game then they're off their schedule because their schedules are set so far in advance. But it turns out that Army, West Point, and UMass open the season every year together anyways. But Army's head coach is a gentleman named Joe Alberici. His brother Jason lives in Atlanta, and he and I are friends. So Jason's whole job with this thing was to get his brother to agree to.
Isn't it amazing how everything comes down to a friendship?
Yep.
Somewhere
it's always who you know.
Line.
Yep. It did. So Joe, and they look pretty much identically alike too. But so we were able to get that done. We probably agreed on that about a year ago. We got that done, and since then we've been in the planning phases, and it's always a lot to do. We're about 60 days out, but it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of a labor of love. I do have another job I do that I'm technically supposed to be doing at this moment, but this is more fun. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a lot to put this together. We want to make this a really top level event and really put on a great production. So
February the 10th is going to be UMass versus Army West Point.
Yep.
And then this has gone over so well, even though we haven't had the event yet, that you have some other exciting news.
Oh yeah. So we're also, in addition to this, this isn't just going to be a game. We're making this an event. So we're also having two of our local strong high school programs play at 9:30 that morning, Lambert High School and Roswell High School. One of the reasons we have Roswell is not only one of the best high school programs around, but they have 3 kids that actually play at Army West Point. So there's in that Army UMass game, there's going to be 4 kids. My son on UMass, and there's 3 players from 2 from Roswell and 1 from Alatoona, and that will be playing in that game. So we'll have 4 Atlanta kids that'll be playing in that game.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is actually, and that's one of the things we want to showcase this game. We're going to have some middle school games in the morning around it as well. Probably 5 or 6 middle school games on some other fields, and so all these kids can kind of see these Atlanta kids in action and hope to want to kind of emulate what they do, and kind of do the same thing. And then, as I said, having Roswell and Lambert there will be great, but it also is going to bring a lot of people there. Being honest, mm-hmm. So we're excited about that. So we're having kind of a lacrosse festival. So it'll be kind of nice.
Well, the good thing is Silverbacks has the main stadium, but then they have several ancillary fields around the main stadium.
They have 3 other fields, and we're going to take advantage of all of them. And we're going to do as much as we can to create a big lacrosse event. But the really neat thing was the University of North Carolina and Mercer University were scheduled to play that day, and they were supposed to play in Macon. And by the way, Mercer has fantastic facilities down there. It's a great school, and they're really building a nice program there. They have great facilities. But the North Carolina coach found out about it and wanted to play in Atlanta. So they actually called us. So we have since about 3 months ago, we added a second game on. So we're going to play the UMass Army game at 12:30. And then we're going to play North Carolina and Mercer at 3:30. And University of North Carolina is one of the big blue blood programs of the sport of lacrosse. So we're real excited. There's a lot
just for our listeners, it is the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
So that's a big deal. Yep. UNC Chapel Hill versus Mercer University. Mm-hmm. And as I understand it, a lot of the Mercer fans are going to come from up north down here to see the game.
Well, most of their players are from up north. They do have, I think, 8 players from Georgia on their team and some Florida kids, but most of their players are from up north. So we're going to bring there'll be a lot of people flying to Atlanta. Parents who are excited to not be freezing at a game.
Yeah.
But I don't set myself up there for that. But they will, so they'll fly down. There's a great tradition in lacrosse. There's just a huge parent and friend following these teams. So we're anticipating a large crowd from each team. And but it's really interesting what Army's doing. So the Army UMass game is kind of the first game we had, so it's kind of the main event. We started planning everything around. But Army is the home team for this game because the game would have been played at West Point. But Army West Point is actually pulling out a great deal of stops for this game. There's a retired general I've been talking with, a retired 3-star general named General Ken Dahl, and he's an Army West Point graduate, 1982, played lacrosse. So he's now in charge of the Army alumni organization for the sport of lacrosse.
Wow.
We've had 4 or 5 conference calls, and they actually have a number of gentlemen who are ex-players for Army here in Atlanta. They probably have about, I think, a database of West Point connections of about 800 deep here that we've been talking to. They're actually pulling out a lot of events for this game. We are going to have the Golden Knights parachute team
Oh, wow.
parachute in the game ball.
That's amazing. I used to be in Fort Bragg and Fayetteville and saw them quite often. They were based out of there.
Yeah, they're coming. I've asked to actually be strapped on one of their backs and come in with it, but I don't think that got approved yet. But, I think they're going to do it out of helicopters, from what I've been told. They're working out the details. Also, they're going to use it as a recruiting event, too. They're going to bring some recruiting simulators there and everything, which would be great. They're going to, I know they're local, they're going to have kind of a West Point information session for that as well. And they're also going to bring up some soldiers from what we know as Fort Benning, which is now actually called Fort Moore. They changed the name on that. So they're going to bring up, I think, about 300 soldiers from there for that. So they're doing a really neat thing around it. So we're going to have all sorts of good stuff going on with that. And, we're anticipating quite a fun day. We're anticipating it completely packing the house at Silverbacks Park. So we're gonna stress the environment a little bit down there, but it's going to be a great place because the venue is actually wonderful for lacrosse. It's got 5,000 seats. Everyone's right on the field. They have a bar and restaurant at the end. It's nice and cozy. We looked at a lot of venues around town. Kennesaw State. I looked at Georgia State. Even looked at Morehouse and Clark Atlanta, which are great stadiums. Looked at all sorts of other places to have it, but we kept coming back to Silverbacks Park because of one, the ownership and the management's fantastic because there's a lot less red tape there than going through a university. Right. But it just was a neat place because it's cozy. It's exactly the seating we want, about 5,000 people, and it'll be just a great experience for the day.
We're excited you're there because that's just opened up a whole new concept for us with Silverbacks Park. Plus, the partnership that we've developed now from really lacrosse with us with Silverbacks Park has just been tremendous for us for the partnership. Well, and like you said, one owner, one manager, a great event person. So it's been a great relationship, and to hear 4 major schools, and I believe you're going to have TV coverage.
We are going to have the games are going to be broadcast on ESPN Plus. So it's we actually, we've invested in a professional PA announcer as well, but we have a professional play-by-play and color commentator that are going to be doing the game. They're going to be on ESPN Plus. Army's the home team, so they're responsible for that broadcast, and then Mercer for the second one. But we provide all the production team. I didn't know anything about this stuff. I mean, we have to bring in a whole production team and all that stuff. We're working with a local company called SUV TV, which has been great. And but we're gonna have it's gonna be broadcast on ESPN Plus. It's gonna be we're having coverage from Inside Lacrosse and also U.S. Lacrosse, which is the governing body of the sport in the United States. They're all going to cover it, and so we're going to have national coverage on it. So it could be that weekend one of the probably most publicized games of the weekend at the college level. So we're real excited about that. And then adding North Carolina and Mercer on there is even bigger. So we're going to have a fun day there. But yeah, it's going to be on ESPN Plus, which is great for all our advertisers and our sponsors like Sports DeKalb and Discover DeKalb. We're very appreciative of that. But we've been very fortunate in that. We got Outback Steakhouse as a partner with us as well. Turns out the president of Outback Steakhouse used to live in Atlanta, and I may or may not have coached his son, so that kind of happened. But he's now in Tampa, but we're very thankful for that. We got some good sponsors because this is expensive. There is one thing, though, the major part of this we're doing that I haven't mentioned yet. This whole thing's a nonprofit venture.
Yes.
This is a benefit. No one's making a dollar off this. This is a nonprofit venture, and every dollar of proceeds for this event, once we exceed our costs, which there are a lot, is going to the Shootout for Soldiers Foundation. So the Shootout for Soldiers Foundation is a very unique organization that uses the sport of lacrosse to assist veterans in needs in the local markets they serve. They actually put on these 24-hour lacrosse marathons. They have one in Atlanta. We just had it in September. It was at Kennesaw Mountain High School. My friend Brett Stevens, who's involved with us at 285, is also part of that. He runs the Atlanta operation. And basically, that people pay to play, and they put these teams in. They play 24 hours, and they raise, millions of dollars to assist veterans in need, and they do it all over the country. So it's a really neat organization. So every dollar we of profit from this event will go directly to Shoot Out for Soldiers Foundation.
So that's great. So you're going to have a huge economic impact with the 4 teams coming right here
Yep.
to Silverbacks Park. You're going to have huge economic impact on all the surrounding area with hotels, restaurants, shopping, gas, food. And then you're going to have helping out a great cause with the proceeds. Plus, you're renovating Silverbacks Park between your renovation and the park renovating itself to make the park even greater for going forward.
It's mostly them doing the renovations, but they're actually really jumping in. They just redid the locker rooms. They just redid they put new turf down last year. They've done a great job there. I know we're adding a press box, and they're looking at adding capacity, and all of a sudden they've expanded their restaurant. They've been fabulous. It's really all them. They've made a couple little additions that we've invested in for our game because, it's mainly a soccer venue. They have that place. They have soccer 24. I didn't realize how many soccer leagues there were. Yeah. In Atlanta until I went there. I mean, it's that place is humming.
Well, they just got a professional soccer team.
Yep.
And working on another professional soccer
team. They had rugby there last year. I think that
they got bought out and moved to LA.
Yep.
I hate that,
but it's a great place. We're real excited to make it help make it kind of the epicenter of Atlanta lacrosse, because there's really when you're looking at lacrosse locally for like big high school games and stuff like that, you need like a 5,000 seat venue.
Yeah.
And we thought about going to high schools too, but we'd just be limited with what we can do because there's a lot of big, great high school stadiums here. But we'd just be limited with all the other stuff we can do because we're having, a Shoot Out for Soldiers tailgate party. We're having that. As I said, Army's going to have a lot of things going on with the recruiting simulator and all this stuff. We're having a VIP area. I was going to have a band, but I haven't totally solidified on that one yet. But we will have some good music. But
you get all 4 teams to bring a band and have a battle of the bands.
Yeah. One thing you touched on earlier, since this is basically a DeKalb County thing, all 3 teams Mercer's not staying in a hotel because they're an hour away, but North Carolina, UMass, and Army are all staying in DeKalb County hotels, and everyone's been great for that.
So we have a hotel set up actually for the Mercer fans to come in.
Yes, we do. Yep, we do. So, that's another thing. A lot of the parents will come in, and there's going to be, I know from the UMass folks that I've been involved with, we'll have probably 500 UMass people in town. We're also engaging the local alumni organizations, and it'll be a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be amazing. So now for our listeners, they're hearing all this activities, all these people coming in. First thing they're going to say is, how do I get there? Where do I park? How do I get to the park?
Well, parking was an issue. I got to be honest. I was up nights about the parking.
Yeah.
So we are going to have limited parking at Silverbacks Park. They have about 650 parking spots. That's not going to be near enough.
Right.
It's one road in, one road out. So we owe a huge debt of gratitude to St. Pius High School, because St. Pius they've allowed us to do off-site parking there. We're going to kind of run it like a golf tournament, where there's not a golf tournament in the country that everyone parks on site. So you park off-site in Buffalo. St. Pius is the closest high school to Silverbacks Park. It's 2.7 miles away. They have their own shuttles. And shout out to my friend Scott Carter there, and also Bryce Wanamaker, the director of facilities there. We're gonna encourage everyone to go to St. Pius High School and get on one of their shuttles. They have tons of parking there, and it'll be a quick shuttle ride over. We'll have shuttles rolling all day. But I know it's Atlanta, so a lot of people aren't going to do that, and they're going to try to drive their car as far as they can, as close as they can, and pack it right in, because that's what we do here. But we will have parking outside Silverbacks Park too. That they're going to be kind of like additional lots that they're coordinating. But we strongly advise everyone to go to St. Pius to take a shuttle.
Well, the good thing is people are going to complain and people are going to try to park. But the reality is parking is handled through the shuttle.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry if you're coming in from out of town, you don't know what Atlanta's like. You go to the St. Pius, take the shuttle. If you know what Atlanta's like, go ahead and go to the St. Pius, take the shuttle, and then the others is going to be a free-for-all. So.
Well, that's, somebody mentioned, why don't you have a game on Friday night too? We're like, no, because 285 on Atlanta traffic, I wouldn't want to deal with that. Never mind people coming from out of town at 285.
But not like Friday night.
No, Friday's horrible. But it's, It's going to be funny. I know I was talking to the UMass coach last week. I encourage everyone to fly earlier in the day. They'll
Right.
fly up Friday, stay in the hotel Friday night, fly home Saturday night, but they're landing at 2:40.
Oh, wow.
So I just,
In the mess of it.
in the normal world, that makes sense, right? Not in Atlanta. Landing at 2:40, they got to get 50 guys onto a bus and, to the hotels, and then they got to practice that night. So we'll probably see them at Silverbacks Park about 6 for their practice.
So once this is done and it turns out to be this gigantic success, you have the national exposure, the internet exposure, what do you want to do next?
So the reason we formed 285 Lacrosse is to basically have lacrosse events. And this is obviously our first big one. So the first thing is put off a successful event.
Mm-hmm.
Have everything go as well as it could, put a lot of effort into it, and make sure we have some money left over to donate to our charity. But we're going to continue to do this every year. So we're already working on a very big name game for next year that I kind of have a verbal commitment on, but I'm not announcing that one yet. But it's a really big.
We'll have you
really
back
big
on
game.
the show for that one.
Yes, we will. But it's a very big game. But we're also going to expand to the women's team next year, women's games. So next year we hope to have a Division I men's game and a Division I women's game. So
you're going to do it the same day like you do in this one, back to back?
Yep. They basically play in the same field. The field markings are a little different, but they basically play in the same field. But the whole goal of the teams we want to invite to Atlanta are teams that recruit Atlanta. So there's currently 74 Division I men's team and about 180 Division I women's teams. That has a lot to do with Title IX, but a lot of there are certain schools that recruit Atlanta a lot, and there's been a lot of success with Atlanta high school players playing at the college level. I believe in the last 5 years, I think there's been 101 Division I commits before the recent recruiting cycle. That kids that are playing in Atlanta and going somewhere to play Division I. So we're going to try to focus on teams that recruit Atlanta. I know the two big name teams I'm working on for next year there'll be probably 10 Atlanta kids involved.
Wow, that's good.
And the whole goal of this is to showcase the great sport of lacrosse in Atlanta and showcase what these Atlanta kids are doing to inspire the younger generations to do that. Because, a lot of kids, to be honest, when my wife was a Georgia Southern cheerleader, and she's wonderful, but she pretty much realized that, she was married into the sport of lacrosse with me. And I don't think she totally knew that until we had kids. But, it's, just something, it's kind of lacrosse is almost a little cultish, but my wife didn't quite know what she was getting into, the fact that her kids were going to be good lacrosse players and go up north to go to school. That's kind of a foreign concept to a lot of people. So, our kids are raised to go to Georgia or Tennessee or Alabama or Ole Miss and do the SEC thing. And that's what we do. And it's great, but we're basically just trying to create a different path for some kids who want to go do something different. Because, I think my youngest son probably could have played college football somewhere, but, might have been an undersized linebacker somewhere and playing on the practice squad or special teams for a few years. But, lacrosse just gives a number of kids a great opportunity to accomplish something different.
Well, you don't have to be nearly the size because they're all kind of strong but small.
Yeah.
Compared to football where they're all just huge.
Depending on the position.
Yeah,
but yeah.
True. I mean, but other than wide receivers and quarterbacks or something, they're usually giants.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's no 300-pound lacrosse players.
Right.
You have to be a very good athlete. You have to be very quick. As a matter of fact, Evan Plunkett from Roswell, who's now a sophomore in Army from Roswell High School, he was actually an honorable mention All-American last year as a freshman. He was a great football player. He was a safety at Roswell, and he's just a fantastic lacrosse player. And he's a great athlete, but he's probably about 5'9", 5'10". It's a little too short to play football, but he's a fantastic athlete. And he was an honorable mention All-American last year. And my son Grant is probably 6'1.5" and 215 pounds, but for his position in football, linebacker, I mean, he'd probably be up to 230 pounds as football because they pack the weight on him. But you got to be quick. You got to be athletic. And
he's still small,
right?
That for football,
but the biggest guys in lacrosse are probably defensemen, which is my position. They can be 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". The great thing about lacrosse, though, is quickness is really valued, and there's actually some really guys that are 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", that are unbelievably quick, that usually play attack and score a lot of goals, and they're very hard to stop. But it's you got to be quick to play lacrosse and a really good athlete.
Yeah.
So you really don't want to carry any extra weight at all. But
I need to start playing lacrosse. I got to get rid of all this extra weight.
come out on Sunday to Old Guy Lacrosse League. We're playing at Legacy Park in Milton this winter. It's great. Come on out, check it out. So
Sounds pretty cool.
we opened the season this past Sunday. I didn't get hurt. No one got hurt. So my team is Southern Empire, who's also one of our sponsors.
Southern Empire.
Yep. It's all guys from New York who moved south and said we're not going back.
Well, that's a pretty cool name, though. Fits
Yeah.
well.
Started about 25 years ago. But yeah, so it's just going to be a really fun event. We're very appreciative of your support. Guys giving us this platform to talk about it, and also just helping us out. I mean, you guys. I mean, pretty much our hotels, the venue, and all transportation, we were assisted by you guys. So it's great with you.
We love having you.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so excited about this game, and I talk about this constantly. I was actually talking about you all in the game to Clemson sports management last week, and talked about everything you all are doing with lacrosse. And also, it's very cool how we can use this to actually spread the word about DeKalb County and spread the word about sports DeKalb through talking about how you've just taken so much lacrosse and made 4 premier games, and then again the Silverbacks Park, and then with their ultimate professional frisbee team, the Atlanta Hustle. So we're really starting to become known, I think, for sports. Ours is a little different without a sportsplex, but we've got the great park and great local committees like you doing this, and we appreciate everything you all were doing.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your help. And by the way, when you go to Clemson, Clemson just started a women's program last year.
Oh, did they?
It's amazing. They started it last year. They immediately, because of the transfer portal, got some amazing players from around the country that just said, I want to go to Clemson because Clemson's such a great place. So we'd love to have the Clemson program next year in our inaugural girls event.
That would be very cool for me, being a PhD student. I love Clemson now. I haven't ever picked a real team since I've been here, but now it's Clemson because of going there.
Yep.
So we're going to be excited. We're going to have, next time you come on, we're going to have 2 premier men's teams.
Yep.
2 premier women's. I was just thinking when you were talking, it'd be interesting to do Army West Point. I mean, Army West Point, obviously. Army Navy.
Yeah.
Lacrosse.
They wouldn't move that game down here.
Yeah, that would, for lacrosse.
That is a very important game.
Yeah.
It would be cool. I mean, they moved the football game. We'd have to really come up with some stuff for that. Probably.
I just thought that would be so cool because you got, West Point, UMass, but Army Navy. I mean, that's the
there's
football,
a couple
at least.
There's a couple Atlanta kids that play for Navy. As a matter of fact, they have a commit now a new commit for Navy named Brooks Wayman at Lambert, who's Coach Wayman's son, who just committed to Navy, the Naval Academy. But it's funny when you're looking at lacrosse. Army, lacrosse has 12. It's just like baseball in the NCAA. There's 12.6 scholarships for the whole team.
How many on a team?
Usually 50 or so. Some have 60, some have less.
Not even half.
UMass caps it at 46. Every school is a little different. So they got to take that scholarship money and spread it around. Army and Navy and Air Force are very coveted spots because that's the only full scholarship in the sport of lacrosse. Now, it comes with a little bit of a catch, but it's a great education. And one of the things with this game with Army, there's such great individual humans, the players on Army and everyone associated with it, that we're really honored to host them here and have them here. And as I said, there's 4 Atlanta kids on that roster. I think one's in the prep school year, so I'm not sure if he'll be dressing for this game. But Evan Geekus, my friend Evan Geekus, who's involved with this, his son Alex is a senior at Army. As I said, we mentioned the Roswell kid earlier, Evan Plunkett, and then we're also Alex. God, I'm forgetting the kid's name. Oh, Sean Byrne, the attackman the goalie from Alatoona, might be their starting goalie this year. So
you just need to find a friend that's got connections to the Navy lacrosse.
Oh, we do.
But what's interesting is you got the Golden Knights for Army.
Yep.
So if you had the Army-Navy game, you could have the Golden Knights, and then you could have the Blue Angels fly over from the Navy.
That would be a hard That would be a hard sell moving that game, but
Yeah, I'm sure, but you wishful thinking.
that is probably there's probably 25,000 people who go to the Army Navy lacrosse game,
Yeah, that would
every
be
year.
tough.
But we can do it. Hopefully they get that addition. They tell me at Silverback Spark they want to put an addition on, so
Okay, I heard that years ago.
they're still talking about it.
So that's nice, especially when you're talking about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I know the pro soccer would like to have additional space for down the road.
Yep. I think they were talking about putting another deck on the south side, maybe adding about 10,000 seats to it.
Very nice.
Yep, but we'll see. But it's they're talking about it. But right now it's the perfect venue for us with 5,000 seats. It's going to be really cozy. We're planning on filling that up, as I said, unless it's a really bad weather day, because I keep telling the Massachusetts folks, they all think they're going to Florida.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not exactly Florida. In February with us, it can get cold, but it's still going to be better than Amherst, Massachusetts.
Well, I can remember my first year here, it was February when we had the big blizzard. Because I was down
1992 or 1993?
No, this was, 2011, my first year here.
Oh.
So it was 11 or 12. It might have been my second year here, but it was a state where we were down to visit the Capitol, visit the governor. And I was leaving right after lunch, and it was just coming down. And I think, was that Snow Armageddon, or was it the year after that?
Oh, that was a bad one.
Yeah, because Snow Armageddon, was
that was
11 or 12.
Yeah.
Because it happened back to back.
Yep.
That we had. It's always in this February time period that we had this Capitol visit, and I think 2 of them snowed.
I moved to Atlanta in June of 1992 after I graduated from college, and then the following March, we got like 6 inches of snow. And I lived in Dunwoody at the time, and my roommate's like, "Oh my God, look up, you're gonna love this," because they were from here. I'm like, "Oh no, I did not move down here for this. This is horrible." And it shut the city down for like 7 days. But nothing was worse than Snowmageddon in 2000. Was that 2012?
It might have been 12, because I think it was the year after I moved here, because we had snow the year I moved here, but then we had snow, I think, the year after I moved here, which I think was
that was horrible.
For Saturday Night Live still has the funniest skit about us.
Oh yeah, Buford, Callaway or something like that. Got on his Escalade and got on the
safest place on the interstate.
Yeah, and that's exactly what people. But as I tell people about that day, so I was working. I'm in the medical device business, so I was actually down. I was somewhere near Emory, and I had to go pick something up. But it was a really weird day because it was like 40 degrees until like 1 o'clock, and then it just dropped, and then everybody had to get home, and it was just chaos. And there's stories of people walking and for miles, and there was cars everywhere. It looked like a bomb went off or something. But we got made fun of for that. But at the same time, as I tell my northern friends, when it's 95 degrees in New York to Chicago, people die. They can't handle that. So we just go to the pool.
Yeah.
So it's all relative. But it's I would never go back to that kind of weather. But I can't say that I've not thought about the fact that we have snow. And I've actually told Bill Lynch, is the guy that runs Silverback Spark, and I said, Bill, you understand, if we have snow and Army and UMass come down here and we get an inch of snow, we cannot cancel that game.
Right.
So we have to have some way to get the snow off the field, because they're going to be like, what? They do everything in snow.
Yeah.
So I was up my son's sophomore year at UMass a couple of years ago. They played Long Island University on a Saturday in February, and they had 3 inches of snow, and they played in it. And they have an indoor field too, but the coach doesn't like using it. They played outside in the 3 inches of snow. Can't say I enjoyed it.
I used to live in North Dakota. We'd go out to dinner in a blizzard and have to scrape everything off several inches of snow off the glass, and then by the time we got out from dinner, scrape it off again. And yeah, it was just the way of life up there.
I grew up in a small town in western New York called Canandaigua, New York, and my dad did not believe in a snowblower because he had me.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do that. But as I said, half my family's from Georgia, and this is where I want to go. So I do not want to be around the snow. But we're, February 10th, the weather should be 45, 50-ish really, and we're looking at it. But it's going to be a fun day. We're going to have a lot of fun. So we look forward to
we're about to close. Any closing stories or any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Well, first of all, we'd like to encourage everyone to buy tickets. Go on our website, 285lacrosse.com. We can go ahead and buy a ticket. We want to obviously have as many pre-sale tickets as possible.
Yeah.
Make it a lot easier on that day. But we're just really excited because this is going to be a great day. We want it to be a memorable day for a lot of these kids to play. And, it's been kind of an honor around here being part of the growing lacrosse around here. But I had a small part in it. And there's a lot of great guys here that the guys I'm involved with right now in 285 Lacrosse, Frank Daniels, Paul Thomas, Evan Geekus, and as I said, Jason Alberici, who arranged his brother's team down here. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and we just hope to open a lot of people's eyes to another great sport. And we've had, we're having tremendous support locally. 92.9 The Game's going to be there. They want to be part of it. Just a lot of people interested. The entire Atlanta lacrosse community should be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're excited. We can't wait. So February 10th.
Yes, sir.
Everybody mark their calendars, February 10th. Get your tickets early at
285lacrosse.com. Did you pull up the website? I love my logo there.
Yeah.
Or our logo, excuse me. And by the way, this whole thing is a benefit for the Shootout for Soldiers Foundation, and that's a little thing for them right there, too.
Sorry, the mouse is a little slow.
No, it's all right. There we go.
There you go.
That's our logo.
So cool right there, that opening shot.
So it's funny, this website, because I'm not putting together a website. I'm a 53-year-old dude. I honestly was graduate high school in 1988, the last year of high school where no one used a computer. So you might find that funny, but we do all our exams in these little blue books. So the guy who puts together this website is a former player of mine at Lambert named Stevie Granbergs, he did this all. He's a genius, but he just put this all together like it's nothing. So we, if you go on that page and you can purchase, if you hit that bar right there, you purchase tickets. And then we also have all our sponsors. Can you click on our sponsors? A little second right there. Right there. There we go. I love the drone view of that. So yeah, there we go. There's Sports DeKalb and Discover DeKalb right there. Outback Steakhouse, obviously. Northside Surge, which is a really probably the largest youth program around here. We've done some clinics for them, and they're sponsoring us as well. That's through Paul Thomas. Hand and Upper Extremity Center of Georgia, Dr. Bryce Gillespie did that. Team 91, which is a local club team, and then Primetime Leasing and Consolidated Transportation Group are two local lacrosse guys that run those companies. So they're all helping out. We're working on a couple more too, but we're really thankful for our sponsorship. So especially from you guys. You guys were the first people to really sign up and help us out. So
man, we appreciate you. We appreciate having the opportunity to work with you all and going forward.
Oh, I forgot to mention Crank Shooter Lacrosse too. They're a company based in Charlotte. They make a lot of lacrosse stuff. So they'll be there doing a lot of neat stuff too.
So again, everybody pencil in, put in your computer, put in your phone, February the 10th, and buy your tickets now. And we want to thank Jason for being on the show.
Thank you.
And everybody tune in again, because when he has the big announcement for the 2 new teams, or 4 new teams, depending on how you go. Actually, we'll have to be 4 new teams.
Yep.
For next year, we'll bring them back on the show for 2025. And then we hope to have the coaches on this show before the February 10th game. So please tune in again. Jason, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.